Newport, Rhode Island has a reputation of being a great place to go as a sailor, particularly if you're into glitz and glamour. We're not particularly into glitz and glamour, and we still think Newport is worth an incredible amount of time. Hi, I'm Nika Waters, and welcome to the Boat Galley podcast. I'm talking about 3 reasons we absolutely loved Newport, Rhode Island, and would highly encourage any cruiser to go visit. Today's episode of the Boat Galley podcast is sponsored by Magma Products, makers of the best grills and cookware for your boat. Cook for a crowd with ease on the Newport Classic Grill, or whip up a gourmet meal using cookware that nests to take up less space. Visit magmaproducts.com to learn more. Go beyond the backyard. Make the world your kitchen using Magma products. So when we were talking about our New England cruise, people we talked to said, oh, you absolutely have to go see Newport. It's where the America's Cup stuff is and where the New York Yacht Club has their on-the-water yacht club. And you're going to have to go because the restaurants are fantastic and it's just an awesome place to go and see all the mansions. And we prefer maybe more laid back, out of the way places. So the description that everybody shared with great excitement actually made us a little bit nervous about going to Newport. And it wasn't on our list. But as we were sailing up in Narragansett Bay, the wind direction meant that the anchorage we wanted to go to on Jamestown on the other side was not actually a good place to go given the wind. And so we decided we were going to go into Newport. It was after Labor Day, but the Newport Boat Show was coming right up, so we were really hoping that we were still going to have anchoring space. And I will tell you that Newport beat every single one of our admittedly not particularly high expectations, given what people were excited about Newport for. But there are 3 main reasons that we adored Newport, and we can't wait to go back. For starters, the sailing in Narragansett Bay was unbelievably astounding. We actually sailed to windward. We beat down from Bristol, enjoying how much our boat was responding to the 12-knot breeze and the flat water in Narragansett Bay. And we passed under the bridge and turned into Newport Harbor, and immediately we were struck by the fact that there were boats of all kinds and shapes. The first boats that we saw up close and personal, quote unquote, were boats that were practicing for the New York Yacht Club / Rolex Invitational. And the Canadian team gestured for us to proceed ahead of them. We were coming in, they were raising their sails, and they let us know that they saw us and we could keep going. And every single time that we sailed around Newport Harbor and in Narragansett Bay in general, every time we sailed, it was amazing. There were winds from 10 to 15 knots, sometimes from the north, sometimes from the south. And being used to the Chesapeake Bay in the summertime, where wind often doesn't really allow for a whole lot of sailing, particularly not in the morning, and being able to reliably sail quickly to pretty much wherever we wanted to go was liberating. We didn't have to hear the sound of the engine to go where we wanted to go, and we just could go sailing. And when we were coming in and out of Newport Harbor and we're going against international crews and couples on boats large and small, sailing past and tacking around 12 meters, it was amazing and just a dream to even be remembering and thinking about. Along the same lines, a second reason we loved Newport was that the boat watching is absolutely unparalleled. We found an anchoring spot. It was kind of tight, but we found an anchoring spot and we sat on our anchor and didn't even want to go down below because we were so entertained by the huge variety of boats that we could see. We saw some of those 12 meters sailing out of the channel, and they were ducking past these huge monster motorboats. We saw fleets of dinghies, 420s mostly. There were people who were paddleboarding with their dogs and kayaking and driving inflatables. We saw gorgeous wooden boats on moorings with brand new high-tech catamarans right next door. And all of that really was before we even got in the dinghy to go ashore. A ride that was, a half a mile maybe? And it took us about an hour as we went just ogling and detouring and motoring around, idling, looking at the gorgeous boats that we could see in the mooring field and in the anchorage. Worth being in Newport just for boat watching on its own. And the other thing for cruisers is that Newport really makes cruisers welcome. This was the third thing that sort of we weren't expecting about Newport. It makes cruisers welcome with a large, well-kept dinghy dock. The harbor master, when you call him on the VHF, or we didn't call because we weren't looking for a mooring, but we heard him over and over again when people were calling in about a mooring. He was quick to direct people to anchor or to other places to call about moorings if there wasn't a mooring that was available. And when you take your dinghy in and you go to the dinghy dock, you're welcomed into the Maritime Center. It's about 10 steps away from the dinghy dock, where you can get showers and do laundry. You don't have to schlep your Santa Claus bag of dirty clothes 4 and 5 blocks or more down to find a laundromat. Sure, the showers were not particularly inexpensive, nor was the laundry, but being able to have those in a space accessible was really pretty amazing. There's actually a grocery store, a decently stocked Stop and Shop, just 4 blocks away. And you can easily get what you need from a practical standpoint. There's a liquor store right next door for beer and wine if you need some of that. In terms of convenience, that was pretty hard to beat. And a nice change from most places where you're talking a mile or a mile and a half walk to get to the grocery store. Sure, Newport has lots of those things that people talked about when they talked up Newport. The cliff walk, not that we did any of the mansion tours, but we could walk the cliff walk. We explored the docks and really were loving looking at the boats up close and personal and dreaming of maybe getting on a 12-meter boat and going for a ride. We didn't go to any waterfront bar or restaurant to sip a beer. We didn't use reciprocal privileges to go to check out the New York Yacht Club and their facility that's there. We just enjoyed being in Newport for being in Newport and being there as a sailor and a cruiser. The sailing is incredible. The boat watching is incredible. And the amenities for being a cruiser are absolutely amazing as well. So don't miss Newport. Don't get turned off if you're like us at the idea of too much glitz and glamour. Maybe we'll share an anchorage in Newport and you can tell us your favorite spots. Thank you so much for listening to the Boat Galley podcast. We love it when we hear from our listeners. There are links to our emails in the show notes. We also love it when you share us with your friends, and we love it when you subscribe so you never, ever miss an episode. Have the most spectacular week.